Front and Center. Front and Center. A focus on important and significant developments affecting the lives of Filipinos, not only in the Philippines, but also those living and working around the world. Join us in Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Welcome to Front and Center, where we focus on developments in the Philippines, legislation that provides policies and directions that strives to promote a better economy for the country, issues that concern the welfare and well-being of every Filipino. All of these and more will be Front and Center. You can watch this program on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. That's Radyo Pilipinas World Service. This program, Front and Center, can also be heard on the following shortwave frequencies: 9.475 MHz, 15.640 MHz, and 17.820 MHz. So join us for another edition of Front and Center with your host, Jerome Toledo. The Commission on Population and Development, or CPD, in January has sounded the alarm over the rising incidence of adolescent pregnancies, particularly those under 15 years of age. CPD Undersecretary Lisa Grace Bersales said the alarming trend demands immediate action, highlighting the need for comprehensive age-sensitive sexuality education to address the issue. And citing the Philippine Statistics Authority data, Bersales noted that live births among girls aged 10 to 14 rose from 2,411 in 2019 to a whopping 3,343 in 2023, a 6.6% increase. On the said data, 38 girls under 15 years of age experienced multiple pregnancies in 2023, and 17 women under 20 had given birth 5 or more times. And the issue is particularly acute in high population regions such as Metro Manila, Central Luzon, and the Calabar Zone, which is the Cavite, Laguna, Batangas, Rizal, and Quezon. Thus, CPD considered this as a critical issue that affects the health and future workforce of our country. So how critical is this, and what the government and the Filipino people can do about this? Joining me now is the Deputy Executive Director of the Commission on Population and Development, Lolito Tacardon. Deputy Executive Director Tacardon, thank you for joining us in the program.
Thank you, Sir Jerome, and good morning to to you and to all your followers. And thank you for this opportunity.
Okay, so let me begin this discussion for today, Deputy Executive Director Tacardon. So, how immediate should we address the rising cases of adolescent pregnancies? According to the introduction that I just made earlier, the CPD sounded the alarm on the rising cases of teenage pregnancies. So, how immediate should we address this?
Yeah, we do agree, and indeed, the issue on adolescent pregnancy is an alarming and an urgent concern that needs urgent action as well. That's why in the Commission on Population and Development, we're really engaging different stakeholders to address this issue collectively and urgently, because we believe that adolescent pregnancy is a critical concern, not only at the individual level, but also as a societal concern. So we all know it's a cliche, but still very applicable and relevant that it takes a village to raise a child. So whatever happens to our young people would really impact on the future that we have, and also recognizing that they are a very critical segment of the population that is contributing significant effort in our socioeconomic development. The issue of adolescent pregnancy has a wide-ranging consequences and implication. Hence, the call for urgent actions. One is, of course, at the individual level, We all know that it has, especially pregnancies among very young adolescents, it has very a fatal health implications. It may lead to unwanted health and morbidity cases, as well as even mortality, because at a young age, the physiological makeup of young mothers are not really tailored for childbirth and pregnancy. Another is, of course, the health impact on the child, or the children of adolescent parents, because the studies have shown that infant mortality is highest among mothers who are very, very young. And of course, we always consider pregnancy among young people as risky pregnancies. In terms of its socioeconomic impact, we consider adolescent pregnancy as a critical concern because of its irreversible and lifelong consequences. And it facilitates, actually, it engenders the vicious cycle of poverty, because basically young parents, both the mother and the father, once they get pregnant and deliver birth, they have the responsibility to take care of the child. And the most immediate impact is the dropping from the school, or discontinuance of education. And once you have very low level of education, you won't be able to get employment that gives you that can enable you to gain adequate income to support your family. And other, of course, repercussions, such as the stigma, still prevailing stigma on adolescent pregnancy at the societal level, and other impact. So and even in terms of the economic contribution of our human resource might be affected, because imagine a human resource with very low level of education, because of adolescent pregnancy as a hindrance for them to complete their education. So among others, we consider this consequences of adolescent pregnancies as the basis for the call for urgent actions.
I see. Okay, Deputy, so I wonder, is this the first time we sound the alarm regarding the rising cases of adolescents pregnancy? I know in the past few years or decades, there are cases like this, but is this the first time that we sounded the alarm?
Actually, it's not, no, because it's a perennial concern ever since, as a demographic and a social problem. But the nature of the issue is actually evolving. In previous years, we were really concerned, in terms of the overall trend among adolescents, 15 to 19 specifically. But through the years, we've seen the declining trend of pregnancy and childbirth among the older segment of adolescents, especially among 15 and 19. In fact, in general, the fertility trend among, or the live births among adolescents in general is that decline. But what's alarming within this context, or with this modern context, or the context that we have now, actually, is the incidence of adolescent pregnancies among much younger segment of adolescents, and that's we consider the 15 and below. It's significant now. We have the range from 15 and below, because our law actually has increased the age of sexual consent to 16. So our new law would consider sexual activities, sexual relations with children 15 and below as statutory rape already. So that means these pregnancies and childbirth that happened among this segment of young people has is indicating some perspective and dimension of sexual abuse already, and that's why the issue of sexual abuse is becoming more pronounced. So basically, we have the same problem, but we have a different context. In addition, previously, I think the factor of technology has not been that significant in during in 1990s perhaps, no, but nowadays the role of technology has become a very significant factor in the discourse on adolescent pregnancy.
I see. Okay. In your data, Deputy, so you mentioned earlier that one of the factors that contributes to the rising cases of adolescents pregnancy is lack of opportunities in terms of economic situation. So, what could be other factors on the rise of teenage pregnancies?
Yes, aside from the possible incidences of or rising incidents of sexual abuse, among especially among younger segment of adolescents. By the way, this possibility of sexual abuse as a factor of rising incidence of adolescent pregnancy is also indicated by the same data set, where we have seen that the age, most of the age of the father among most of the live births born to 15 and below are most of them are 20 and above. No, that means they have older partners, and in that cases, actually, we are looking at possibility of sexual abuses. Secondly, we consider that the phenomenon of adolescent pregnancy is indeed a complex social problem, and it has varying levels, from individual to community to the society at large. At the individual level, I think we are looking at exposure to information, especially at exposure to sexual explicit contents, because of more open access to online platforms as one of the most critical factor of the rising incidence of adolescent pregnancy. In fact, we did further studies of the young adult and fertility survey in 2013, and we found that adolescents who are exposed to sexual explicit contents are more likely to engage into sexual activities. So that's one. Secondly, we still find very low life skills among young people in terms of negotiation, in terms of communication, in terms of critical thinking, and more importantly, in terms of life planning. Because nowadays, young people needs further guidance, in terms of having something to hold them to, such as dreams, their aspirations, to be a factor for them to complete education rather than engaging in very risky sexual behavior. So those behaviors are something that we are trying to develop among young children, especially within the context of peer pressure and more open access to information from online. So they're really very vulnerable and exposed to risky information that may translate to unplanned pregnancies and other consequences if the information that they can get from this online and other sources of information are unguided.
Okay.
And in relation to that, we also see the lack of parental guidance as something that we need also to address, because basically the discussion of sexually related concern between parents and adolescents and even within the family is still a taboo.
I see.
Culturally, it's not being discussed at all. Hence, the capacity of parents to guide young people are really wanting.
I see. Okay.
And that's one of the area that we're looking into.
Okay. So I would like to ask Deputy. So lack of parental guidance, youth getting their information through online sources. So and at the same time, other mass media and other social media platforms. So do you believe media plays a big role in this in this incidence of rising cases of adolescent pregnancies?
Yeah, definitely. We have various studies naman showing that that the main sources of information nowadays, especially among young people, is the online platform, and that it would include, of course, sexually information with sexually explicit context. And in those type of information that they're getting, of course, we don't see the guidance of parents, because naturally you want to ask your parents to guide you in terms in accessing those information. Um, so any information that they get from the media becomes some sort of the reality, for young people. And if they are not really properly processed and properly guided, those information may be used and translated into risky behaviors. That's why it's really very important that proper education, proper information, and knowledge should be given to young people, especially by trained adults, who would be able to guide them properly when it comes to making decisions in relation to their sexuality.
Okay. Yeah. I would like to go back to the data that I just mentioned while on introducing the program. So I've cited the PSA data, which Undersecretary Bersales said that live births among girls aged 10 to 14 rose from more than 2,000 in 2019 to 3,343 in 2023. So is this
Yeah.
still accurate, Deputy?
Yeah, you're right. Based on the Civil Register and Vital Statistics of PSA. So actually, it's been increasing since after the pandemic. It went down during the pandemic period because naturally, young people were during the pandemic constrained in terms of their movement. So they were not able to interact more with their peers. No, but after the pandemic, we have seen the surge in the number of live births, especially among young people. No, from since to 2020 to 2023, it has been steadily increasing.
I see. And with that thought, Deputy Takardon, how can we curb the rise of this kind of pregnancies?
Okay, on the part of the government, actually, we have already some policies in place that we are taking advantage of to address this concern. One is the Responsible Parenthood and Reproductive Health Law, which included as one of the elements of reproductive health, adolescent and sexual and reproductive health concern. And under that law, adolescents are supposedly to be provided with reproductive health education in school and in all matters related to their sexuality, so that they would be able to have informed choices and informed decisions. To support this initiative that we're doing, in the previous administration, specifically in 2021, an executive order was issued for the entire government instrumentalities and agencies to collectively address the root causes of adolescent pregnancy, and that's the Executive Order number 141, which the Commission on Population and Development, or CPD, is now coordinating. And based on that mandate, the CPD, our agency, was able to initiate the formulation of comprehensive plan of action together with relevant government agencies. In that plan, the initiatives of the government focuses on 5 areas of intervention. One is the intensified reproductive health education that that aims to increase the opportunities and initiatives for the provision of age appropriate and developmentally appropriate information and reproductive health, both in schools and in communities. And it also covers the provision of information and skills among parents, teachers, as well as other adults who have influence over the behavior of young people. Second is we also would like to improve the access of young people on reproductive health services as well as social services, especially on protective services in cases of sexual abuse and other reproductive health services, which would include family planning, because as you mentioned a while ago, we also have issues on repeat pregnancies. So we have intensified our intervention that at least for mothers who are, or for young mothers who already have given births, they should be provided with appropriate family planning information and guide them to access appropriate family planning services with the help of service providers within their community. Another area that we'd like to strengthen is the mechanisms and enforcement of laws that prevent sexual abuses. Because as I mentioned a while ago, the evolving nature of adolescent pregnancy has expanded to concerns about sexual abuse and exploitation. So we'd like to strengthen the mechanism, especially the reporting of these cases, because it has been part of the concern actually is it has been very difficult to report incidents of cases of sexual abuse, especially if it's an incest one, if it's resulting from incest relation. So sometimes the culture of silence is prevailing among families. Next is the improvement of the socioeconomic interventions for young people, and which include the social protection programs that would protect young mothers and parents on the economic shock of being an adolescent mother. So we have programs such as livelihood, employment, education, of course, and ensure that young people, especially those who drop from school, are still able to complete their education even if they got pregnant. And lastly, we'd like to strengthen initiatives that would promote the participation of young people in community development. And this is where the works of Sangguniang Kabataan, the communities, is highlighted. Because we'd like that young people would be able to divert and direct their very, very positive, very, very active energy into positive activities and productive activities. So the implementation of these initiatives called for whole of government and whole of society approach. That means it's not only the CPD that's in charge of addressing this concern, but the entire government and even the society at large, the communities and the families. So they're really very important in the equation.
I see. Okay, so moving on, Deputy Executive Director Tacorda, I would like to ask this question. So recently, the Adolescent Pregnancy Prevention Bill is being deferred by President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. due to some provisions that needs to be clarified. Meanwhile, this bill aims to address the concerns regarding the welfare of adolescents, particularly adolescents, women or adolescent women that are being pregnant. So, what is the stand of the CPD regarding this bill? So, how would this bill addresses the growing problem with this situation, Deputy Executive Director Tacorda?
Yeah, we are supportive of the passage of the bills in relation to the prevention of adolescent pregnancy. Just for us to have a national policy that where we can anchor on which we can anchor our intervention. Actually, these bills, the one passed already at the House of Representatives and the one pending at the Senate, which was already, I think, revised in view of the controversy on the comprehensive sexuality education. Um, we that those policies are promotive of more comprehensive approach and intervention to the issue of adolescent pregnancy. The interventions that I mentioned a while ago, are integrated in those policies. For example, the institutionalization of social protection program for adolescent mothers, increasing access of adolescents to reproductive health services in health facilities and other facilities, including the institutionalization of information and service delivery network for adolescent reproductive health services at the community level, the continuous promotion of adolescent sexual and reproductive health in schools and even in communities, and the engagement of SKs in creating an enabling environment for youth development and participation. All these policies aim to institutionalize all these interventions in a more comprehensive, in a more effective manner. That's why the CPD is really very supportive of this policy and legislative initiatives.
Okay, and before we end this interview, Deputy Executive Director Tacorda, I believe the CPD will celebrate its 57th anniversary. So, can you tell us the activities and programs that the CPD will be organizing in light of the agencies or the commission's celebration?
Well, thank you very much for this opportunity of promoting our organization. So on February 19, we'll be having our 56th anniversary. So
56, okay.
the Commission on Population and Development has been in service for more than 5 decades now, 56 years to be exact. And these anniversaries are opportunities for us to promote our population and development agenda within the theme of tao ang puso ng pagunlad. So we are promoting the centrality of development on people, because we believe that people are the object and subject of development, and then that's what we are actually been promoting through all the years. Our demographic landscapes, our age structure, our population outcomes are already evolving, and we have seen that beyond numbers, we are now focused more on human lives, and that's where we'd like to promote that we now have this opportunity to focus more on ensuring that we promote more quality life among our people, more empowered people, and more enabled families and institutions. So we are calling on stakeholders, government agencies, to be one with us in the advancing the agenda of population and development, which is geared towards empowering Filipino families and individuals.
Okay. And I hope it will be a fruitful celebration, and at the same time, CPD will advance its agenda towards towards development of the Filipino youth at the same time. So thank you so much, Deputy Executive Director of the Commission on Population and Development, Mr. Lolito Takardon, for joining us in the program.
Thank you very much, sir, and thank you for this opportunity as well. And we always value and recognize the importance of media, as our partner. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
And that concludes this edition of Front and Center here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Together with our production team led by Erwin Peñano, Milo Junela, and Hiro Lucero, this is your host Jerome Toledo saying mabuhay and love the Philippines.
You have just heard and watched Front and Center. Front and Center. Join us again for another edition here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Front and Center.